It is a stunning day here in New York City. It is like bright blue skies and green trees, and we are in full swing of spring, and I love it. And the construction, I think, is relegated to the basement, and there's currently a break on the construction out on the street, so it's quiet for a moment, so I thought I'd pop on and say hey. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Alexis. I'm a full-time artist in Brooklyn, New York, and on this channel I share my art and inspiration and rebuilding life after a stroke and leaving a career of 20 years and finally going after what it is that I always wanted to do. So if that sounds like something you're into, I invite you to stick around. Today I'm just gonna keep working on this collection. I finished all of the people. In my last vlog I mentioned that I've been trying to add more men to these scenes because I find men not to be as fun to create. I made them. I did switch one of them to a girl. My apologies, but I think it just fit the vibe better. So that's what we've got. And today I need to work on filling out the artifacts in each of the scenes. Yo, I said I was hoping to have this done within the next like 2 weeks or so, and I think I can do that, right? So that's like, I still have 2 weeks, basically. I think I said that last Thursday, and here we are, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna get this done in the next 2 weeks, and I can't wait, because then we can move on to the third one. But anyways, that's what we have going on today. So I'm gonna get it set up, and we will go from there. I don't know, I have the window open because it's so lovely. I don't know if you could hear that. I always forget how close we live to the ocean, and it like really amuses me. It tickles me when I hear a seagull because I grew up in Missouri, which is like landlocked, and so we would drive 10 hours to go to the beach. Now it's like an hour by train, and I get to hear seagulls when the weather's nice. It's one of my favorite things. But I am currently, I guess maybe, segueing, perfect segue. I'm reading or listening to The House by the Cerulean Sea, and I just started it yesterday, so I'm only like an hour, maybe 2 hours in, and I'm enjoying it. I know it's like a children's book, but it was like highly recommended by many people. And I taught elementary school. Everybody thinks I was an art teacher. I was not an art teacher. I didn't start really doing art again after childhood until 2017. So I taught reading, math, science, history, all of the things. And so I loved teaching all of them, but I really did love teaching reading because I got to share some of my favorite books, and I also got to find some favorite new books from more contemporary artists, like The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I was just talking about that with a friend the other day, but I am excited to see where this book takes me. And it's been a minute since we've caught up on some books. My book club has fallen apart since the inauguration. I was in a book club with 2 other women, and I shared parts of that with you all over the last year or so. And one of them is a social worker, and her work has just gotten really bombed. And her husband works for the VA, and so he's a federal worker, and so they've been subjected to a lot of the manipulation, and I think the stress just became overwhelming, which is absolutely fair. And then the other woman is an immigration lawyer, and so I know that there was like a lot of preparation going into the inauguration, and then just seeing how it's all unfolded. I think we just needed to take a break because personal lives become very, very busy when there's crisis. And I think that there's a lot of crisis happening right now. But the last book we read was a book that had been on my list for a while. It was The 100 Years' War on Palestine. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I think that it's like really easy to know like snapshots of things. But to actually dive into the history and kind of like how that land has been used as like a power struggle for nations for so long, would recommend. And reading that text, it really reminded me a lot of, no surprise here because America's such a huge player in that, but it reminded me a lot of American history. And so there's another book, I keep looking at my bookshelf, that I am currently reading, which is An Indigenous People's History of the United States. And I have read several texts highlighting our Indigenous people. So I've read like The Heart of Everything That Is, and Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, which is devastating. And there's a third one. Maybe I'll share those with you some other time, but they were phenomenal. I've been wanting to read The Indigenous People's History of the United States, and reading those two kind of back to back has been really powerful, and to see kind of what nations that are in a more powerful position will do to Indigenous peoples in a land that they want. I always say everything is connected, and the systems will always use the same tactics. They just might put a different bow on it. And you can see that when reading these 2 texts. So once again, I'm about halfway, maybe a third of the way through, and would recommend it. I didn't know, I think one of the first chapters, something that was really interesting. I knew that there were like millions of Indigenous people in North America before colonization and exploration. I did not know that our highway system here in America is based on the trade routes of our Indigenous people, which is, I don't know, I found that to be really fascinating. I knew that our Constitution and like our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, I knew that our Constitution was based on the Iroquois Confederacy, but I had no idea about the highways. So I don't know, I think it's really important to read about history. They're banning our books because they don't want us to see how history repeats, and it is repeating now. So I encourage you, read. Please read. I was talking with a family member recently. She called me and asked me about something, and I was like, yo, that's a really complex thing, and it's been going on for thousands of years, and I only know this small part of it, but I can tell you what I know. And she was like, wow, that was really helpful. How do you know what you know? And I was like, well, because I read. And she told me that that was unrealistic to expect that the average American could read or would read. And I have definitely had periods in my life where mentally I'm so overwhelmed I can't read. So this is not to shame anyone. Absolutely not shaming anyone. I've gone years where I haven't been able to pick up a book because my personal life just felt so overwhelming, and my job, and I was just overly taxed. Hello, burnout. But I think that we have to make it a priority. And I think that the fact that most Americans don't read a single book in a year is very apparent in the situation that we find ourselves in. So that's my little after school special. Please read, and read a lot of books. And you can do audiobooks and listen to them in the car or on your commute, or if you do a walk. I mean, there's so many ways that we can access information now besides just like, and I love a doom scroll more than the next person. But in addition to doom scrolling, I think it's really important that we fill our mind with information that helps us to be better prepared for the world that we live in and better engage in creating the world that we want to live in. So, damn, that was a lot longer of a talk than I thought it was going to be. But those are the two books that, nonfiction books that I've currently read and am reading. And then I've got my audiobook. That's the deal. That's what's going on. And give me your recommendations. I know I recently mentioned, what was that book? All the Colors of the Dark, which was a fiction text. I know I've already shared that, but I keep thinking about that book because I was very surprised by it and I really enjoyed it. So if you've got anything along those veins or along that vein, let me know. But I am hoping to make a lot of progress on this today. And then tonight, our friend who is in from out of town, it's her last night. So I'm gonna meet up with her and Mario, hopefully, when he gets out of his session, and I'll take you along on that. But let's get back to this. Lots got done today, but I think I need to stop because I'm getting stuck trying to decide what colors I want to use. And I'm just gonna take a minute, but I'll show you what I bought, and then I'm going to get ready so that I can go meet up with our friend who is leaving town tomorrow. So I will show you what we got, and then we'll get on a subway and see what the night holds. So yesterday I didn't pick up the camera, but I just put in headphones and had one of those days that was like, a lot of trial and error and a lot of paper. My hope was to get all of the paper elements, the rooms done. I think there's 2 more that I need to finish, but I'm gonna switch gears. Yesterday was a lot of like start and stop, because as I'm creating the elements, sometimes I was realizing, you know what, I think that this person belongs in this window, and then everything had to be kind of moved around because I want the thing to vibe, and we're all about vibes. I think it's working. I think I've got everything kind of where I want it. I've got everybody where I want them, and now it's completing the rooms for each of them. And so today, I think I'm gonna take a step back from the paper, and I'm gonna pull out my paints. So I'm gonna pull out my watercolor and my gouache, and I am going to work on like the background of the building. So the wallpapers and the paints of each room. And last time when I did this, I just painted directly on a piece of paper, and then I like cut it, and then I tried to build it all, and it worked, but I think I can do it better. Because it's part of the creative process, right? Is like doing something, but learning maybe how you could improve. And so I want to try something a little bit different this time. And I'm excited to see how it comes together, but that's the goal for today. So I'm gonna make some breakfast, and then I'm going to pull out my paints and some paper, and hopefully this works. And perhaps I should have led with this, but my new piece, the first one, was accepted into a festival, which is really exciting. And so I am going to do some troubleshooting with the second one, and then I'm gonna go back and implement what I've learned to kind of solidify that first one. So there's gonna be some deconstructing to reconstruct. But if you live in Massachusetts or near Holyoke, Massachusetts, on June 7th, there's the first inaugural Holyoke Paper Festival. And some of you know Boo. Boo sent me the link to this show a couple weeks ago, and I submitted my work, and they accepted it. So it'll be on display for the day of June 7th. But I'm excited because I'm really proud of this collection and I wish I had more than just the one, but things take time. So we're starting there, and I'm gonna keep going, but yeah, so that feels good. It's May 1st, and I'm hoping that it is an omen of good things to come, but I do think that you just have to like follow your gut and go for it. So there's a lot that I'm like spinning on this morning, so I feel like I don't want to be too disjointed in the catch up. Maybe I'll share some more as we get moving on things, but I'm feeling really excited. I'm feeling really hopeful, and the experimentation is part of my favorite thing, or is my favorite thing about the creative process. I really love kind of getting messy and troubleshooting, so today is all for that. There's still some construction in the building and construction out front. There's this guy who just comes in and yells. I don't know, he's somehow connected with the landlord. He's always around when there's work on the building. He's here. He got here at 8 a.m. I don't know. Hopefully the banging in the building is at a minimum, and we'll just have to kind of navigate when they're tearing up the street. There's like a huge, I don't know, they've cut like a 3-foot wide ravine down the front of our street. I think they're replacing some pipes. Not the landlord, the city. So it's like a double whammy. But that's what earphones are for. So I'm gonna keep listening to The House by the Cerulean Sea. Found out it's not a children's book. It's for adults, but it's whimsical. I'm enjoying it. I don't know, I'm waiting to see like what happens, but it's sweet. So, okay, breakfast and then paint, and then we'll see how the day unfolds. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up today. I finished House by the Cerulean Sea. It was sweet. It was a sweet little book. And I'm trying a new way to build this out. The last time I made the first piece, each window's background ended up being its own little rectangle, just because I couldn't make up my mind where I wanted all the colors. And that made building it a little tricky because it became more of like a puzzle and getting the layers to layer right. It became quite messy and I didn't like it. And so with this one, I'm doing what I had intended to do with the first one. And I think even if I were to like change the color, I could just like glue, right, the new color on what originally was here. But for this one, as you've been seeing, I have just the sheets that are divided into the windows. And then from there, I am creating the rooms, okay? And so then when the building is on top of it, I'll be able to put the adhesive between, and then hopefully it will just like make the whole thing smoother and prevent some of the like rippling. I really want this to feel solid and to look solid. And so, I don't know, we've got to start. It's definitely trial and error. This is the second piece of the collection. And so, once again, still very much a learning process, but it's feeling really good. But I want to wrap up here, and if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for spending your time with me. Any amount of time you choose to spend with me, I am truly honored. If you have not yet subscribed and you would like to follow along as I rebuild, I would love that. We have over 900 of you here in this little spot on the internet, and I don't know, man. I'm hoping to get to 1,000 by the end of June. We'll see how it pans out, but I want to thank you for being here. And if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. That helps YouTube know that there's something happening here. And they're more likely to share me with cool people like you. But with all of that said, lastly, whatever time of day you've watched this, I hope it's been a kind one. Until next time.